Every single day, hundreds of people parade through my courtroom, but nothing gets my blood boiling faster than family members suing each other over a few bucks. Today, we have Boucher versus Schaefer. Angelica Boucher is suing her brother-in-law, Charles Schaefer, for an unpaid loan. Now, let's look at the dynamics here. Miss Boucher, you're suing your husband's brother. This man, Mr. Schaefer, has employed your husband, Michael, for 15 years. Think about that. For 15 years, this man provided the paycheck that put food on your table and a roof over your head. You don't work. You're a stay-at-home wife, supported entirely by the money your husband earns from the man you're now dragging into court. The irony here is so thick, you could cut it with a knife. Miss Boucher claims she made this loan on November 23, 2015, to help Mr. Schaefer pay his bills. When I asked her what kind of bills, she gave me the most vague, empty answer I've ever heard. Just bills. I don't buy it. You don't take $10,000 out of your savings, money that came from a personal injury settlement back in 2008, just to help your husband's boss pay a generic light bill. There had to be a hardship. She claims her sister-in-law was depressed and couldn't work, causing the business to slow down. But something still felt off. I wanted to see the paper trail. I wanted to see the check, the bank statements, and the actual movement of money. Because in this courtroom, if it isn't on paper, it didn't happen. I noticed something very peculiar about the amount. $9,999. Not $10,000. $9,999. When I see an amount like that, my scam alert starts ringing. Why that specific number? Miss Boucher admitted, quite smugly I might add, that she lowered the amount by exactly $1. Why? Because she knew the limit for small claims court was $10,000. She wasn't just making a loan, she was calculating her lawsuit before the ink on the check was even dry. She was already planning to sue him before he even spent the money. That tells me everything I need to know about her intent. I decided to recall the case to give her time to produce her Chase bank records. When we returned, I turned my attention to Mr. Schaefer. I wanted to know what he really needed that money for. He tried to take me back to 2013, but I don't have time for a history lesson. I told him to snap forward. He revealed a devastating truth. His wife was diagnosed with Wegener's disease. This isn't just a hardship, it's a life and death battle. The treatments involved chemotherapy that wasn't fully covered by insurance. We're talking about $36,000 per treatment 4 times a week for 5 weeks. He was facing astronomical costs. $24,000 out of pocket every single week. To save his wife's life, this man sold his home. He gave up everything he owned to keep his wife alive. Mr. Schaefer's story in court was slightly different from his written answer, which always makes me lean in a little closer. He initially said the treatments cost $36,000 each, but then clarified that his out-of-pocket was $6,000 per session. Regardless of the math, the man was drowning in medical debt. He says his family gave him the money because they knew he had nothing left. He didn't view it as a loan. He viewed it as family helping family in a moment of absolute desperation. He told me that if they had called it a loan at the time, he never would have taken it because he knew he didn't have a prayer of paying it back. This is where the line between gift and loan gets blurry. In a family, you help because you love. But in a courtroom, I have to look at the evidence of an agreement. Miss Boucher insists he promised to pay it back in 3 months. Mr. Schaefer denies this. He says he was so focused on hyperbaric treatments costing $2,500 a day that he wasn't making promises he couldn't keep. I looked at Miss Boucher. She has $1,700 left in her savings. She's looking for her payday, and she doesn't care if it comes from the man who is currently watching his wife struggle to survive. It's cold, it's heartless, and it's exactly why people hate coming to court. Just as I was about to wrap this up, Miss Boucher dropped a bombshell. She produced a check from February 2016 for $2,500. Mr. Schaefer had given her this money, and most importantly, he wrote balance $7,500 on the check. That is the smoking gun. Mr. Schaefer, you can tell me it was a gift all day long, but when you start paying someone back in installments and writing the remaining balance on the memo line, you have legally acknowledged that the money was a loan. You admitted the debt. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but the paperwork doesn't lie, even when the heart wants it to. Mr. Schaefer tried to argue that he was just trying to help his brother out because he knew Michael was short on cash, but that doesn't fly. You don't write balance on a gift. You acknowledge a debt when you write balance. It's heartbreaking because I can see he's a good man who was dealt a terrible hand by fate. But my job isn't to be a social worker. My job is to be a judge. The law is the law. If you acknowledge a debt and start paying it back, you owe the money. Period. The maximum I can award in this jurisdiction is $5,000. Miss Boucher, you played the system with your $9,999 check, but you're only getting half of what you asked for. I'm awarding judgment to the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That is the maximum allowed. But let's be clear, while you won the legal battle, you lost your family. You sued the man who kept your husband employed for over a decade while his wife was fighting for her life. You got your money, but I hope it was worth the bridge you burned to get it. Judgment for the plaintiff for $5,000. We're done here. Get out of my courtroom. I hope Mr. Schaefer finds a way to move forward, and I hope his wife gets the care she needs. As for the Bouchers, you have your judgment, but you've shown everyone exactly what kind of people you are. People like you are why I have to keep my gavel heavy. Parties are excused. Case closed.